Allow me to de-influence you for a second. If you are brand new to the world of photography, videography, or content creation, there are some products and things that YouTubers and other reviewers, myself included, may recommend to you, but you might not actually need. And I hope this video can clear some of those things up for you. Hey everyone, my name is Larry, and on this channel I make content for creators, and today we're going to be talking about some things that you might not need if you're a beginner. Now, quick preface before we dive into the details of this video, I do want to say that while I don't think beginners need these things, if you are someone who is doing this for a job, as in you've been hired by a person or a company or a business in order to perform services, and you feel like you need the equipment, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people who are trying to make content creation their career or trying to make money producing content for themselves on the side. This video is for that person. And with that, let's get started. First up on my list of overrated gear for beginner content creators is a camera cage. Now, I know that some people may disagree with me on this one, as camera cages can be a form of protection for your camera, but I see most people getting camera cages in order to rig their cameras out. And as a beginner, as someone who's filming content for themselves, that's overkill. There's no real reason that you need to rig out your camera with a cage in order to make YouTube videos or TikTok videos or Instagram videos, even if you are trying to film something cinematic or get great quality. I would say that if you are going down the cinematic content route, you are most likely looking at creators who have these rigs, who have things rigged out, and they have cages and rails and handles and grips and all kinds of accessories, V-mount batteries and everything else mounted to their camera. I guarantee you that's not just for fun. Those people are using those tools to create projects for other people or businesses or entrepreneurs, or they're getting paid to rig out their camera in order to look more professional or actually use the tools for longer extended periods of time or help them get smoother, steadier shots. They are not just using that for YouTube videos, and if they are, they're probably a tech reviewer. So I don't think that beginners need camera cages in the sense that they're gonna rig everything out. That is a giant waste of money, and it's preventing you from actually going out and shooting your videos. Don't fall into that trap. If you're feeling de-influenced already, be sure to hit that thumbs up. The next item on this list is also a little controversial, and that is gimbals. Yes, if you are someone who is making YouTube videos and you're not a tech reviewer, you are a lifestyle content creator, or you make cooking videos or anything else, you do not need a 3-axis gimbal. More often than not, you will find that these things are time consuming in order to set up. You have to remember to charge the batteries. Balancing it, although balancing has gotten a lot easier over the years, balancing it is still time consuming and a hassle. And it is a barrier to entry for you to be able to just turn on the camera and make your video. If you are making content for YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, what have you, you do not need a gimbal. The authenticity of a slightly shaky shot can come across more authentic and more real than the smoothness of a gimbal. This is not to say that gimbals don't have their place in content creation. Obviously, things like drones or the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 have gimbals built into them, and those are completely built into the system. You don't have to set them up or add a camera to it or balance it with a lens. All of those parts are already ready to go. So I'm not talking about those types of cameras. I'm talking about the big gimbals like the DJI Ronin or the Zhiyun systems. Those things are a burden, a hassle, and as a beginner, they are holding you back and stopping you from turning on the camera and making your video. I would say if you want smooth footage, try to shoot in slow motion, you know, cranking your shutter up to 120, shooting in 4K 60 if you can, and then in your editing software using warp stabilization, or if you're shooting on a different camera, turn on in-body image stabilization, get a lens with stabilization. There are other ways to make smooth shots without needing a gimbal. And as a beginner, I think it's more important for you to get a body or a lens that helps with stabilization than to spend $200, $300, $400, sometimes $600 on a gimbal when it's just gonna sit in the back of your closet collecting dust unless you are getting paid to use it to produce videos for someone else. The next item on the list that I think beginners can stay away from is cinema cameras. If you're someone who's never filmed YouTube videos, if you're just getting started, you're within a year of YouTube and you're not trying to become a cinematographer, you're not trying to become a DP, you're not trying to get on film sets or make big budget productions, you are strictly filming for the internet, I do not believe that there is any reason that you need a Blackmagic pocket cinema camera. You do not need the Pixis. You do not need a Sony FX3 or a Sony FX30. Those tools are entirely too expensive and too complicated for beginners to get started. If you have dreams and aspirations to make bigger budget production things, or you are trying to create high quality production things for clients, then yes, by all means, go ahead and invest in those things. My caveat would be to rent before you buy. Make sure that you like the system before you spend upwards of $2,000 on a system, and that's not including lenses or anything else that you would need in order to make those productions like that. I think that too many people want the best of the best, and they think that having those expensive things, that expensive body, that cinema quality body, will help them just become better creators instantly. And the truth of the matter is it won't. You do not need bodies that expensive, not counting the lenses, in order to create good looking quality content. So I don't care what your favorite YouTuber says that this is the top of the line camera. Hopefully now creators are understanding the power and influence that they have over people, and they are adding this detail whenever they're talking about expensive new cameras or cinema quality cameras, and saying that unless you are in the business of X, you do not need this type of gear. And I'm going to tell you right now, I've shot commercials for national brands, for local brands, for all kinds of people, using regular full frame cameras, sometimes even using crop sensor cameras, because you don't need a cinema camera in order to achieve good quality. The next thing on the list of overrated gear for beginner creators is an XLR microphone. Now, I'm someone who came from a music background. The reason that I picked up a camera seriously for the first time was because I created music and I played music. So I had XLR microphones. And in the beginning of my YouTube journey, if you go all the way back, you'll see me using some XLR microphones in some of those videos. That's because I had already invested in that gear for a different purpose. Now, I would not recommend a beginner to purchase an XLR microphone for the purpose of creating YouTube videos or even streaming content. USB microphones and wireless microphones have gotten to a place where they are wonderful and they are inexpensive, and you do not need additional equipment and additional cables and things like that in order to achieve great audio. If you are producing videos for the internet, you do not need to have the highest end Shure XLR microphone that plugs into a cinema camera or plugs into an interface into your computer in order to achieve good sounding audio quality. The audio that you're hearing in this video is achieved with a wireless microphone, and it might not be the absolute best, but it is good, and it's good enough for YouTube and internet videos. At this point, I may sound like a broken record, but unless you are producing a podcast that pays you and you have the time and the setup and the know-how to set everything up every single time you shoot or leave it set up. I know that some people set up and break down their sets. Unless you have the space and the time and the energy to have all of those things ready to go, and you are absolutely 1000% committed to making videos, you don't need an XLR microphone. You don't need the Shure SMB, whatever it's called. You don't need that interface. You don't need those things in order to create quality, crispy content. And the last thing that beginner creators really don't need is the top of the line Sony, I'm looking at you, G Master lenses, or Canon, I don't know what the top of your line is called, but those type of lenses. You do not need that in order to create high quality content for YouTube, Instagram, social media. Will those things help you? Yes, they will. But oftentimes those lenses are upwards of $2,000-$3,000, and that's not counting the body. So you still, if you have a body and you buy a $3,000 lens that's a fixed focal length, but it's a G Master, it's not automatically gonna make you a better creator. It's not gonna make you a better storyteller. It's not gonna help you create more quality videos. The only thing that those lenses are gonna do is put a dent in your pocket and sit in the back collecting dust, especially if you start buying every single lens that comes out. There are a myriad of lenses that cross focal lengths and aperture ranges. Once you figure out the focal length that you like, and unless you are filming for productions or again, getting paid to create content, you do not need an 11 millimeter, a 16 millimeter, a 16 to 30, a 24 to 70, a 70 to 200, 600. You don't need all of those lenses. In fact, I made a whole video about you only really need 2 lenses depending on what you're filming and what you're shooting. So I suggest you go check that out. But if you are someone who is creating YouTube videos or social media videos and you are not a high budget producer or production company or getting paid to create content for other people, you do not need a bunch of lenses. That is a giant waste of money, and that's coming from someone who loves camera equipment and who loves working with lenses and cameras and all those things. As I mentioned earlier in this video, I think people who make content about gear and camera equipment have a responsibility to inform beginners who watch these videos the correct application of the tools that we are talking about and recommending. So if you go back and watch any of my previous reviews or any of the things that I talk about, I want to make sure that I'm telling you whether or not I think you actually need this or whether or not it's something that's a luxury or a tool that will help you achieve a specific outcome. A lot of these tools that people are recommending to you are based on gifting or sponsorships, or these people are tech reviewers and they're getting some form of payment either up front or on the back end in AdSense or affiliate links or something like that in order to talk about these products. And truthfully, I think a lot of this stuff is overkill for beginners. And that's why I make content for creators, and I always want to be upfront and honest with you about who these things are for and what the purpose is behind them. If you stuck around this long to the video and you're interested in some of the things that I use to create my videos, I do have links in the description to some of those tools. Feel free to check them out. No pressure if, those tools don't work for you at all. If you enjoyed this video, YouTube thinks that you will like this one next, so be sure to check that out. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. It really helps. Hit the subscribe button if that's something that you're into. Otherwise, remember to do the work, believe in yourself, and most importantly, keep creating. Peace.